Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Michelle Aubin and Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. My co-host Michelle Aubin is on sabbatical this week, so I am here with my guest, Barry Farthing. Barry is a healer from Australia, and he's also my Huna brother. Barry, please say hello and tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, aloha, everybody. As Linda was saying, we've been really good friends and family now for a few years. 2012, I think, was our first meeting on the island of Hawaii when we first came together in this Huna path. The Hawaiian path that we both chosen, of which we have other modalities, but this has been my core one, is the shamanic practice of Huna. And we both belong to a halau, and its primary focus is to empower the individual from a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical point of view. And this practice resonates with me, and it's a cornerstone of what I do spiritually now.
Well, I'm very excited to have you here, Barry, because of your wisdom and your skill in space clearing energy from land, from buildings. And I think it's a really fascinating topic, something that a lot of people don't even recognize is an effect on them. And yet, if you go to an old church, you can feel a special quality in that church. And the same goes for buildings or land where something very violent or traumatic happened. So is that the kind of space clearing you do, or do you kind of focus more on spirit attachments?
The answer to that is yes.
Yes to both?
Yeah. My background when I first came to this sort of stuff was very corporate, and I shut down this area of my understanding of what this aspect of life is all about. And most people have an awareness of it, but not necessarily a conscious knowing about it. And so when I started to awaken to what is around me and how things can actually operate is about the best way of doing something. I was looking for something that was very practical. So I needed to understand and wanted to understand how energy worked and not just think of it as a theoretical construct, if you want to call it that. So energy is around us all the time is basically the best way to describe it. And I had numerous experiences personally. You know something, but you're not sure what it is. You don't know why and all those type of things. And through Huna, I've been able to understand how energy works a lot more. It's very practical, so I wanted something that I could use. Huna house clearing, and that's the business that's organically grown, that I actually sort of help people clear their space. That can be a home, that can be work office, it can be a building, it can be an area, it can be with nothing on it, if you want to call it that, apart from nature. They all have qualities about them which people who are sensitive to it can actually definitely pick up on it. It's there all the time. Whether you're aware that it's operating on you is kind of like irrelevant, because it does. So once I started to understand that a little bit more, having some techniques and processes and initiations that I've been privileged to be shown and taught, I could start to do something about it. And word of mouth started to spread, and I started to help people clear their spaces, clear their energies. And so people, places, things are all subject to these things, but people can easily identify with the fact that something funky is going on in their home or something weird.
I think that one of the things that probably most people have experienced is if they've kind of walked into a room where maybe two people have had an argument. The argument might be over, but there's a heaviness in the air. It's almost, that old saying, you could cut it with a knife. You can still feel it around you. Something's happened, even though you weren't privy to having had that experience. And so that's a kind of vibrational resonance that you release from a building or land or an object. It's actually fascinating that you can clear items as well.
And it's getting your head around the idea that things can get anchored, energy can get anchored into things. They can coagulate in places. They can be called. Think of it more like magnetism, is that it will attract. And so people, places where energy is focused, people have experienced, like you're saying, going into a church, say, for instance, where a lot of people have congregated and put a lot of energy and focus into that, has a quality to it. And people can feel that. You intuitively know that it's sacred. Let's get out of spirituality and just talk about how energy works. If you ever go to a concert or something like that and there's a vibe there, but the vibe can make or break a particular event for a lot of people, right? And the area that I like to help out in is when it's not supporting or nurturing the occupants, and so you have the ability to clear those spaces. And I'm just a practitioner of Huna, and through my halal, etc., I've been initiated and shown how we can actually move these energies on.
Okay, so how would a person know that energy or space clearing would actually be in order for them? I personally think it would help anyone, but there's certain circumstances where it's really important that the space be cleared. So what kind of things would people look for in their own life that might be indicative of needing some space clearing?
Probably from a practical point of view, feelings are a good indication, because energy is monitored and governed through the unconscious mind. It's not a conscious thing. You can be aware of it, but generally speaking, the unconscious is the thing that's in play, and feelings are a direct reflection of the unconscious. Some people would actually go, I just don't feel comfortable in this room. There's something about this room. There could be a temperature variation. There could be a sense of unease, sometimes just hearing or feeling uncomfortable. They're subtle, but they're there. And for some people, that can escalate to things like seeing orbs of light. It can be shimmers. It can be a whole range of things. A lot of the time, energy can, because of vibrational, and this is all verified by physics, it's not even, so to speak, woo-woo, so to speak, if you want to call it a label. Science is starting to understand that there are things outside the spectrum of our perception, and they may not resonate with each other. So electrical items doing funny things, computers doing really weird things. Generally speaking, if someone is experiencing in their environment trauma in whatever form that might be, that magnifies the intensity of the energy, which can actually coagulate, if you want to call it, stay bound in the area because of how energy operates. There are various ways that you might identify you may need to do something in your house. A really good indication is, for a lot of people, is their pets. Pets are highly sensitive to energy, and they can be a good indication. Pets can be looking at things and you wonder, they see a lot.
So true, so true. The other thing that I might like to add there is that if people find that they're stuck in their life or in a particular area of their life, sometimes clearing the space that they're in is enough to allow new energy to flow through. It doesn't necessarily have to be really intense traumatic experience or a feeling of a space being possessed. That sometimes it can just be stagnancy is enough to warrant house clearing if you want change in your life and it's just not happening.
Probably the two major concepts that I would raise for people is the fact that energy does not disappear. It changes form. It can actually go into a multitude along the spectrum. So some people think that energy, when it's expressed, will just keep going, but it has a quality to it. It has an intelligence to it as well, and it will respond to the environment. So you don't have to have any of those particular things going on. But more importantly, if there is a repetitive nature to the energy that is actually being expressed in a place, it will take on the tone of that. So you can also see that as well. I've had experience with children, particularly not being able to sleep. If you're having a recurring pattern of something going on, and it's in a certain area, you can actually find out what happened in this space that you're picking up on when you're sleeping, and that can be another clue. So people who have had specific nightmares, unable to sleep, broken sleep, etc. I've been able to actually move the energy that's still there. And generally speaking, once it's brought into their awareness, they know, oh yeah, yes, this has occurred here, had a big fight, had something else here. And health is another one too, right? Energy can sometimes being reflected in your physical body. So it's good to clear that sort of stuff as well.
So we've had experiences here in our home as well. My sister in her home after our mother passed over of electrical issues, and they weren't things that we had cleared because it was actually pretty apparent to both of us that it was just our mom giving us a sign. I guess there's kind of that inherent intuition, if you like, or feeling or sense that something is wrong here, or it's a message. I mean, it can go both ways, right?
And it's really important how you label it too.
Yeah.
So a recent client of mine who I helped clear a house, she couldn't sleep in her bedroom for about 3 or 4 weeks. She was sleeping on the couch, and she was experiencing light orbs coming into her house. She lived in a beautiful sanctuary in the countryside and been there for 20 years and was now very disillusioned with the fact that she could not enjoy the property like she used to. She was a designer, wasn't able to go into a design studio, and this orb was coming through, and she contacted me initially to say, there's this thing, it's really freaking me out, etc., etc. And upon clearing and doing what I did, the origin of the thing was her mum. It wasn't anything other than a mum coming through out of concern for her. So how you label stuff can be very important. It's just energy in various forms. And so because it's unfamiliar to a lot of us, we tend to label it as something, and depends on the label that you put on it, on how you engage with this energy. So I don't necessarily think that the energy is good or bad. It's just different. And if it's not supporting you in your space, well, then we can move it on and the energy will move. I did mention there was 2 things. So the one is the way that energy works, but the other one is the fact that people are familiar with the fact they have auras and they have a physical body, but they have all these other bodies which operate in an energetic capacity, and you are transmitting all the time. And so to think of yourself like that is a little bit different for people. Once you get that in play, if you're transmitting, you can call. It's like a light that you're on, but you're not aware that you're on. And then all of a sudden moths come or just energy of a similar vibration, which is actually drawn to you. So once you understand the way that energy can work, then it's less freaky. I don't know anybody that doesn't clean their house of dirt. You know, like people will have a hygiene factor and all that sort of stuff it makes for their physical body, for their house, for their clothes. And I'm just raising the concept that you're more than just your physical body, and it's a good practice to actually take a look at your energetic environment too, because sometimes you just pick up some dust that don't need to be there. So we'll move on.
I agree. So I'm just curious if you have any little kind of maintenance tips. If people have something serious going on in their space, they're probably better off to get someone a little bit detached to come and clear the space for them. But for less serious issues or general maintenance, maybe you could share a few tips that might work. I might have a few too, but I'm curious to see how you would do it.
It's possible to identify what it is that you want to actually create in your home. So you're responsible for your environment. So the space that you hold around you, you have control over. So aspects such as if you're finding yourself in a fearful or a stressed out state, take the opportunity to do some meditation in that space, because that will change the vibrational nature of the space that you're actually occupying. So energy that might be there where you're saying, well, what can I do, and that sort of thing. So transmitting from your own self into your environment, well-being, peace, happiness, whatever quality it is that you would like, will set up a vibrational energy pattern in that area. And whatever is there that you don't like cannot coexist in the same place. And so that can move it on. It would require, probably from my point of view, if you're looking to move something, a practice of that on a regular basis. and you can only self-calibrate because you're the one that's experiencing, and you will notice the difference. So it's not a mental thing. It needs something other than the mental vibration to make things work. So emotions are really good. How can you invoke your own emotional qualities into that space? I know with my fiance, she absolutely lights up when she hears music. So if there's something that actually you could use to actually invoke that in that space, that will have the effect that you're looking for. The way that energy works, if you create a vibrational ball, so to speak, of energy in an area, and there's something else there, if they're not of the same vibrational nature, they just move apart. They can't coexist in the same space, is about the best way to describe it. So that would help you to actually do that. You can use crystals. Certain crystals have certain resonance that can hold the energy of a space for you.
Here in North America, a lot of people will smudge. They'll use fire or smoke, or many places around the world will use incense to kind of have that smoke clear the energy of a place, or holy water even.
That I believe, and it's just purely my belief system. Crystals, smudging. I smudge, okay? And the most important thing about the smudging is the ritual, is my intention with that. The ceremony is not to be confused with what's really going on, if that makes any sense. Crystals, if you're saying this crystal will do that, you're putting that in energy, and that is magnified by the crystal, and the crystal has a certain structure, etc., that can amplify and has a predisposition to take what you're trying to do and actually amplify and do things. So intention that comes, I believe that this will clear the space, has far more effect than the smoke. It's the duality of it is what I'm trying to get across. So smudging most definitely, and there are different aspects of magic with a K, and so smudging, crystals, ritual ceremonies that you can actually get, it very much is tied to the intention of the person that's actually doing all that. So there we go.
So Barry, you forgot one of our favorite ways to clear space, and that is by using the voice in chanting.
That's right. So chanting, which I love, and I'm from a Western culture, so but it's been a wonderful experience to actually know through our lineage of our halal that we've been privileged to be given some chants. And I will do one which is for bringing in the masculine energy, but that word is called kane, which is the masculine side in the Hawaiian culture. But whenever that is mentioned, it is automatically mentioned that the female energy is side by side with that, which I love. It's not one better than the other, that they work together. So there is a chant that we'll do, which is Noho Anake Kua. And I'll just briefly chant that, and I'll set the intention that for anyone listening, they'll feel the space come down. It's a loving shield that comes down, is about the best way that I can describe it. Totally complements whatever you have, but at the same time, it's an energetic shield that comes on from source.
It's also a fantastic expression of how you don't have to be in the space to clear it. You know, as space clearer, you know that you can clear energy from places through long distance healing or here on a video call. So I'm very excited. This is one of my favorite chants. I love it. And I'm just happy to receive.
Okay. So we'll just take 3 breaths, ha breaths, which is into the count of 2, out the count of 4. Very natural, and just a slight ha as you exhale. No anake kui kana heli heli, ila ye ke kio hua hue kawa koko. O na kino malui kalani, malue hoe. E ho ulu mai ana o kane i kona kahu, O Macau Noa Waikea.
Lovely, Barry.
So how can energy operate the way that it does? How are you able to actually do things at a distance? How can you do things collectively? Because energy doesn't have the constraints of time or space. Science is starting to figure out how, at the quantum level, energies, and they're showing that distance is not a factor in quantum field. Something that ancients have known for thousands of years is now going to become a new concept in the area of science.
Miracles are natural occurrences.
I agree. They're very normal things that we as a culture have just forgotten. And so it is an amazing thing, but at the same time, it's something that anybody can do, really, if they're called to actually do that. If they're not, that's fine too. And the thing I should mention, we are Huna practitioners. This is a practice of empowerment, of working with energy, of healing, of being better people, I suppose. How I actually clear spaces, I've combined a few Huna practices. I don't know that most other people do it the way that I do it. So I use spirit guides, and I use chanting, and I use symbols, and I use a few things of that nature, but in a combination that works for me. And it's at an energetic level, which I love. It's so fast, it's so quick.
That's the magic of the energy healing. I agree. It's been fantastic having you as my guest this week, Barry. Why don't you share your contact info with people if anyone has any questions?
My website is hunahouseclearing.com.au, and I'm also under Huna House Clearing on Facebook. So I have a Facebook page, so you can get me there. Thank you for the opportunity of just touching on a concept about how people can actually have good energetic hygiene.
Exactly. That's a whole other topic. So it's been fantastic having you here, and we'll just wrap up. Bye for now, everyone.